Jesus Christ.
The truth of the matter is, good, bad, or indifferent, Reservoir Dogs didn't really exist before I did it. Heist films had been made. And, you know, there's a whole story about this Hong Kong movie, City on Fire. If you've ever seen City on Fire, it's very, very different from my movie. The section that they say I took, I did take from it, all right? Absolutely, I took from it.
So this is the first time I've seen Tarantino openly acknowledge a lot of the accusations he's been hit with over the last 25 years. How Reservoir Dogs straight up stole from City on Fire. But how much of that is actually true?
Ain't a bad idea. Let's get him the f*** out of here.
Well, it's not just 10 minutes. Let's start with the obvious. This guy.
Mr. Orange.
An undercover cop who, although he tells himself this,
you're not gonna get hurt.
The very first thing that happens to him is this.
Good shot.
But of course, if you're here, you probably already know that. What you might not know is that this, on the other hand, is Kamwa, another undercover cop facing a suspiciously similar situation. And that's not the only thing they have in common, because both stories could be described as
a story about a bunch of guys who plan a robbery and everything that can go wrong goes wrong.
All of which culminates in a confrontation with the police, a clumsy escape attempt by the crew, and, of course, the protagonist getting shot in the belly, only to then shoot an innocent person, breaking their own moral code and becoming criminals in the process. And if those parallels weren't enough, both stories funnel into the same place. An abandoned warehouse.
This man set us up.
Paranoia about a rat in the crew. And the inevitable Mexican standoff.
Joe, if you kill that man, you die next.
Sure, Tarantino's version ends in a way that's, well, very Tarantino, but still, everything ends in tragedy, and the last gut punch is the same.
Damn, I forgot about this shit. I haven't seen this shit in forever.
And to close the film, the Hong Kong cops and the LAPD corner the survivors, with the undercover cop's identity being revealed in his very last breath.
Don't do it! Drop the gun, man! Don't drop the gun!
Now, I'm not the first one to point out these similarities.
A film called Who Do You Think You're Fooling, directed by Mike White, charges Tarantino with ripping off an obscure 1987 chopsaki flick from Hong Kong called City on Fire.
Back in 1994, a guy named Mike White made a video essay, before video essays were even a thing, lining up both films.
If either of these films teaches us anything, it's that crime doesn't pay.
Although it doesn't exactly make the strongest case, the way he cuts them together is actually pretty great.
We're in the place, everything's going fine. Then the alarm gets tripped. Turn around and all these cops are outside.
And while at the time Tarantino never mentioned City on Fire, he clearly already had that 10-minute idea baked into him.
And the special thing about this movie, as opposed to other heist films, is the fact that what would normally be given 10 minutes, I decided to make the whole movie about that. About those 10 minutes, all right?
Though, like I said, the whole just 10 minutes thing is pretty debatable. In both stories, there is a crime boss putting together a crew for a jewelry heist, where an alarm blows the plan to pieces, and one unhinged thug starts firing on civilians.
Right, the cops didn't show up until after Mr. Blunt started shooting everybody.
And the parallels don't stop there. I mean, you can spot direct influence in the action sequences, or even in details that might seem minor, you can still trace the influences. For instance, director Ringo Lam foreshadows the protagonist's tragic fate by having his first meeting with the gang set in a cemetery. Meanwhile, Tarantino's warehouse is actually an abandoned mortuary, something you can discern from the bathroom tiles, the hearse, or, of course, the coffins scattered around. Perhaps Tarantino dropped that idea later on, because in the final edit, it's only noticeable if you really look for it. But the point is, I think the answer to that question is clearer than we might have thought. And while it may be controversial, I honestly don't think it changes the film's legacy.
Use the commode
Not
story.
at all.
You see, one of my favorite parts of the film is when Mr. Orange tells the commode story.
It's a commode story. It's a scene, man. Memorize it.
It's no surprise that Tarantino's whole filmography carries a meta-cinematic streak.
It's an interesting point. Come on, let's get in character.
Maybe that's why one of his most iconic scenes takes place in a movie theater, and why my favorite of his films is basically a love letter to cinema itself.
Look, man, an undercover cop's got to be Marlon Brando, right? To do this job, you got to be a great actor. You got to be naturalistic. You got to be naturalistic as hell.
And what I love most about it is what it implies. How you can build a sense of believability out of something the audience knows is completely fake.
It's the details that sell your story.
So I walk into the men's room, and who's standing there?
Which plays out like a short film within the film.
4 Los Angeles County sheriffs and a German shepherd.
And in those minutes, it doesn't matter that you know it's fake, because Tarantino makes it so engaging that for the duration of that micro-narrative, you're hooked.
Right? And I gotta point it right at this guy. I tell him.
And by the time it ends and you're pulled back into the real story, you feel more aligned with the gang listening to it than with the narrator himself. That's why the line,
You gotta remember that this story's about you. And how you perceive the events that went down.
resonates beyond the dialogue. It could almost stand as the aesthetic motto of Tarantino's films. Just as Mr. Orange transforms a borrowed story into his own through the active narration, so too does Reservoir Dogs as a whole.
What the fuck was I talking about?
For Tarantino's meta-cinema is not employed merely as homage, but as a constant attempt to rethink the very language of storytelling itself. I mean, heist movies were already a genre staple, and that Tarantino did was take the very thing that defined them and strip it away. The robbery itself. And the strange part is that, even though he withholds the one thing you think you came for, the heist, the film never feels incomplete. The narrative is so tight and so
I need to
sharp
rewatch this
that what's
fucking movie,
missing
man.
actually becomes the point.
Huh? Who did it? What the hell do you think we're gonna asking each other? Dan, what'd you come up with, huh?
That's because, instead of focusing on the causes, which is usually the most compelling part of a story like this, how the cop gets in, how the thieves are tailed, how the heist is planned, Reservoir Dogs shifts the spotlight to the consequences. To the point, almost everything interesting happens off-screen. We never actually see Mr. Blonde firing his gun.
This is what he was doing. Bam! 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 Bam!
Yet, it's an image that exists in all of our heads, each one slightly different. And in a way, it's the same trick he pulls with this camera movement.
That was one of the only scenes in the movie that I actually shot 2 ways. And I did another shot where the camera was like directly behind the cop as Michael straddles him and cuts off the ear. All right, because I wanted to be sure about which way to go.
And I think this moment is so interesting, not just because of its brutality, but because it's really the first of many in Tarantino's career that challenge you as a viewer. Because up until that moment, the tone of Reservoir Dogs had been completely different.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
I see it almost as a black comedy in a way.
And of course, when audiences saw it for the very first time, they didn't know they were watching a Tarantino film, which meant they didn't really know how to react. And they didn't realize they were witnessing the first steps of a master in conducting emotions like an orchestra. Something I think he perfected in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, that shit was
These
fucking
two scenes
outstanding, I'm
only
not
3
gonna lie.
minutes apart. One
That fucking
hilarious,
what
the
was
other
no, go to the
deeply
goddamn
this ability to jump
the scene
from
where
one
he-
tone to
where he's
another
eating the
can
fucking
perhaps be
pastry,
traced
dog,
back
that
to his
shit.
influences from
Fucking
Asian
like-
cinema, which
it's like-
specializes in exactly
like some-
that.
some high strings or something, you know.
A major hero to me at the time. I was just so influenced by Hong Kong cinema. All right, to me, and to this day, I still think it's like the most invigorating cinema that's made in the world. All right.
You can see it in the way he talks about John Woo, the face of Hong Kong cinema, but also right there in City on Fire, where tragedy and comedy coexist, though the humor is built in a very different way. Take this scene, for example, where one of the thieves protects a jewelry store employee and ends up fighting another member of the gang. The humor comes through the action itself in the way it's filmed, almost theatrical. It's essentially taking a situation that had been portrayed realistically up to that point and injecting it with the artifices of fiction to make it funny. For a moment, the film borrows from the conventions of classic visual comedy, showing the action.
Alright, hold on. Let me pause it. This is on my pause. This is the end of the video. I'm sorry, I can't finish. I'm a little stressed out. Not stressed out like that, but I'm just like, I need to slow down the tempo with a new video. I'm gonna get my thoughts on it, and then it's over. I fucking love Tarantino. I love Tarantino. I haven't watched all of his movies. I love Tarantino in the way I love Kanye. I love their fucking work. Outstanding. The reason their shit is so good is because they care so much. You know what I'm saying? That's why. So if you see and you visualize young Tarantino looking at all these weird Hong Kong movies and the way shit's shot and the way it's like all all over the place and it's not standard to the American cinema at the time, yeah, you could see how he'd abstractly work his own, you know, storylines and his own character development and emotional details all up in the works while still keeping that abstraction to it, you know. But at the same time, what makes him care so much also makes him a fucking dick. Like, I don't want to be an asshole and just say that he's a dick, bro. Like, not trying to be, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna judge. Why am I gonna judge, bro? Because he was judging. Like, why does he seem to come at certain actors and certain film? Like, dude, you didn't make the movie. You didn't act in the movie. You didn't make the movie. You could have your opinion on it. You know what I mean? You can give your opinion on it, but the need to be overly negative is not a need at all. It's a fucking choice. And he does that shit constantly. And it's the same shit that happened with Kanye. Like, that shit, I used to watch him and be like, man, this guy's fucking amazing. A master at work. The music he makes, fucking crazy. I love this shit. And then I'd hear him talk, and I'd be like, why is he so fucking, like, amped up and negative about it, though? Like, motherfucker, just relax. Like, there's no need to do all that shit. Like, there's no need to tear anybody else down because you care so much. We understand that you care. It's great that you care. It's outstanding. That's why you are who you are. But goddamn, man, slow that shit down. You know, a young, developing, creative mind that sees that shit, they're gonna get the whole wrong impression from it. You know, you're gonna fuck them up crazy. You know what I mean? Thinking that that's the way to go about it. It's not. That's fucking rude. That shit's weak as fuck. I'm sorry, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to compare that to other, like, people that I looked up to, like a Rick Rubin, like, you know what I mean? Shit like just the fucking standard of human decency, you know? Just don't be a fucking dickhead. I'm sorry. I fucking love Tarantino. I love Kanye. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing, right? You gotta put that emphasis behind it, right? There's a barrier, but nah, man. Like, the work is outstanding. Just there's no need to be a dick at any point, you know. If somebody's fucking with you, I'd understand that, but if something's just bugging you, you gotta recognize that for what it is.